You're listening to Out of the Box Podcast with Rosie Tran. Out of the Box Podcast is sponsored by hugmetease.com. Spread love, give a hug, hugmetease.com. I'm here today with Vinnie Tortorich, the author of the book Fitness Confidential and the host of a top fitness podcast, The Angriest Trainer. How are you doing today, Vinnie?
I'm choking over here. You hear that? Right into the mic. People love that when an old Italian guy is hawking into a mic. It's like, what did you hear today? I listened to an old Dago just hack his lung into a mic.
So I actually was checking you out a little bit before I had you on the podcast as you hack again.
Yeah.
And
it's still not cleared up, by the way.
So why do you call yourself the angriest trainer? Because I found you quite delightful.
Yeah, everybody goes, wait, you're the angriest trainer.
You're so not angry.
You should be so much more angry than Jillian Michaels or something with her fake anger. You know, she gets on television and goes, grrr, grrr. It's like, you're not that person, Jillian. You're really not, you know, but that's what she does. I'm not angry. I'm angry because your good intentions have been stolen. But despite everything you want to do to be fit, not you meaning America,
the collective
I'm talking
you,
to them, because you're in fabulous shape.
Thank you, Vinnie.
But people, you know, no one wakes up in the morning and goes, you know what? I'm 300 pounds overweight. I love being this way. That never happens.
So you're angry with passion.
Yeah, I'm angry for you, not at you, because you tried to do, not you, but the collective you know, want to do the right thing, but they don't have the opportunity to do the right thing because, you know, they think that you're supposed to go to the health club and buy that sugary drink on the way in that's supposed to give you energy, and you're supposed to have a 5-hour energy, which could kill you, or you're supposed to take all of these pills and potions that have sugar and grains in them. The
pills scare me so much. I know a woman who is taking diet pills, and she's like, this is her justification. She's like, oh, they're all natural.
Cocaine is all natural. Heroin is all natural. You know, don't give me the all natural thing, you know?
So I am really excited. Before you came here, we were chatting for a little bit, and you said you wanted to talk about something with your book deal contract that you said, we'll talk about it on the air. And I had just listened to the episode you were on of Entrepreneur on Fire. And so now I want to know, and I want everyone to know. So for listeners, for those of you who don't know, you're the author of a book called Fitness Confidential.
Right.
Which you self-published.
Yes.
And sold multiple thousands of copies on your own.
Bazillions. Not multiple, like tens of thousands.
Tens of thousands of copies.
Literally almost 100,000 copies, which, by the way,
after being rejected by multiple publishers.
Yes. And by the way, we didn't sell it at 99 cents. It's been out for a year now, and it's still selling at and above what the publishers would have sold it at. You know, meaning the paperback is $14.90.
I don't know, 99-cent book, Rosie.
Yeah, Rosie. I didn't because, well, that's what people think. Oh, self-publishers who sell a lot of books, obviously they put them at 99 cents, right? But that's not what we did. It sells for $9.99 like every other Kindle book. The paperback sells for $13 or $14.99, whatever books like that sell for. And the Audible.com version of it, Audible. Go to Audible. First go to VinnieTortorich.com and click through the Audible. Do you have Audible for your thing?
I don't.
Go to VinnieTortorich.com, click through the Audible banner, and put the promo code Vinnie in. It's audiblepodcast.com / Vinnie, VINNIE. Just trying to make a buck, Rosie.
Well, $13 actually.
The audiobook is
$9.99.
No, the audiobook is $17 or $18 because Audible sets that price. You have no choice.
Okay.
And by the way, I'm going to skip around here, but Audible, you know, when I did the audio of the book, everyone, you know, the engineer who did it for me, he charged me like $1,400. And he goes, I hope you make this money back. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, no one really buys Audible books yet. I said, well, all I have to do is sell a couple of books, you know, to make that money back. And he goes, how many books you think you're going to sell on Audible? I said, well, I have my podcast, get several 100,000 people. He goes, dude, because that's how those guys talk. Dude, you'll be lucky if you ever sell 100 of these books.
What were you thinking
on
in your
Audible.
mind? That's kind of negative. Thanks a lot for sharing.
No, because I didn't grow up in your fucked up generation. Can I say fucked up in your show?
You can say fucked up.
No, I didn't grow up in your fucked up generation where you guys, you just attacked me. Oh, I feel attacked. Oh, my God. Because you guys all hit balls off of tees, and they told you were going to be Hank Aaron one day, and they bronzed every poop you ever made. No, my generation was, he says, dude, if you sell $100.
Not with my tiger mom, dude.
No, that's right.
Dude.
You see, you're Asian, so you guys.
Oh, not with my tiger mom.
No, I walked into your house. Your house is perfectly neat. You have 2 dogs, yet it doesn't smell like dogs live here.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So I walk in here and say, oh, yeah, okay, Asian parents. They made them learn math, obviously. And, look at this place. It's immaculate. So anyway, I didn't take that as I was attacked. I took it as, okay, $100, I'll be making probably $7 or $8 per book because you get half of what Audible sells it for. So I was like, God, $100, I won't even be able to pay back what this guy just charged me to make the book. So I said, what would be, he goes, look, a hit would be 500. If you sold 500 books, consider that a hit.
On Audible.
Well, we came out of the house selling, like in the first week of being on Audible, we sold, I think, 600 books. And last time I checked, we were in, a gazillion Audible books. And as a matter of fact, I just came back from New York where I was up for the Audible Book of the Year.
That's
It was
awesome.
a black tie event I went to last week on Fifth Avenue where my book was up for Book of the Year up against Dolly Parton's book. We both lost, by the way. Me and the big-boobed Dolly Parton lost to some other woman. But, the audio has, outdone most audiobooks out there.
Well, then that audio engineer that recorded you actually blessed you in a way with his...
Well, I called him, in the first week, I said, dude, because I used his words. Dude, I just sold, 600 books. And he was like, no way, dude. I went, yeah, dude, way.
So how does a boy from New Orleans end up in Beverly Hills as a top celebrity trainer?
Oh, wait, I know the answer. I know the answer to this. I came here in a Toyota. That's how I got here. But
did you know that this was always going to be your path, or were you just like, hey, I need to get out of New Orleans? Or
well, as you know, New Orleans is a great town.
It is.
It's hard to leave that town. I have lifelong friends in New Orleans. By the way, I'll tell you in a second, but where did you grow up? Let me interview you for a second. Where did you grow up?
West Bank. What's up?
Well, wait a minute. There's a lot of Tortoriches on the West Bank. How can you not know that name? Where were you, in West Wego or?
No. Algiers.
Rockin' Algiers.
Yeah.
Yeah, where everybody went after the storm tore New Orleans apart.
That's right,
yeah.
Algiers. Actually, New Orleans is kind of having a renaissance right now, and it's heartbreaking for me to go back because I just constantly want to move back every time I go.
I love that town, and the only reason I moved here was I grew up in a swamp. So I didn't grow up in New Orleans. I grew up in a little place called Donaldsonville. I'm from the West Bank also. And I got a football scholarship to Tulane and played ball there. And then I ended up living there because I have a lot of relatives in New Orleans. I never left. So between college and after college, I was there for 10 years and I was one of the first trainers in the country, fitness trainers. We're talking 1981, before it really existed as a career. And, Shape Magazine came down there and wrote a big article on me because they were like, wait a minute, you go into people's homes and you do what? I roll around on the floor with very rich women. And,
it sounds fun.
Yeah, it's great. As a matter of fact, my book, Fitness Confidential, talks about all that stuff and, how I got to L.A. and how I became the guy. But I started there. And I got tired of the weather. I grew up in that weather. As you know, in the summer, it rains every day at 2:00. You don't have a choice, right? It just rains. I need to bring you to my podcast. You just sit there and laugh at all my jokes. And
I'm laughing because this is the weather pattern in New Orleans. Rain. These are the seasons. Rain, termites.
Yeah.
Locusts.
Yeah, pretty much.
and then kind of cold, and then warm, and then rain again.
Well, here, you mentioned the kind of cold because it could be 10 one day, like 10 degrees Fahrenheit, and the next day it could be 80.
That actually happened to me one Christmas. It snowed. It was the first time it snowed in 10 years, I think, on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
It was so beautiful. We're like, oh my God, it's snowing on Christmas Day. And then the next day it was 90 degrees.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
Like, people don't believe you.
Well, they figured out, our country figured out during the Korean War that the people from Louisiana and Mississippi, from southern Louisiana and southern Mississippi, fared much better in the jungles in Korea. Like, they didn't get malaria. No one got sick.
They were immune already.
They were already immune. So by the time we got to Vietnam, the government just took everybody from Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, because those people live it.
And then all the white guys took all the Vietnamese girls home, and then all the Vietnamese girls opened Vietnamese restaurants on the West Bank, and then blah, blah, blah.
Well, you know why they did that, right? Because you can love them long time. Come on. Can I say that? Is that race? Is that a racist thing now?
You can say that, and also their dads could work on the shrimping boats with their other dads.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? It's like everything is now racist. You can't say anything without being a racist.
I don't think racism is about what you say. I think it's about the intention. If someone's saying it and they're doing it in a endearing way.
Yeah, but you know what? It doesn't work that way anymore.
I'm talking about myself personally. I'm not talking about people who are hypersensitive and over PC?
Yeah.
I'm talking about myself.
Like double PC. Well, that's a problem because I could say this. Let's say I say Asians love you long time. Somebody can take that out of context, put it on Twitter, and all of a sudden I'm the biggest racist in the world. The other day I had on my show this gorgeous woman she's, can I say black, or is that off the table now? Is it African American, or is that off the table?
Vinny, you can say whatever you want.
Okay. She was...
We'll just never air this episode.
Yes. The one episode, Rosie Tran. Never,
the one
ever.
episode I threw in the delete bin.
Yeah. I'm going to walk out of here and you're going to hit... Yeah. Goodbye. No, I had this beautiful woman on, African American or black. It's one and the same.
I prefer Chocolate Sister.
Okay, you said that, not me. Okay. And she is a professional skateboarder. So I said on my show, I said to her, you're a professional skateboarder and you're a woman. Two things you don't associate with professional skateboarders. You think of like little skinny white guys that smoke a lot of weed, right?
Okay, yeah.
And she goes, as a matter of fact, she goes, I never thought of it that way, but I am kind of an enigma where I said enigma. She goes, I am somewhat of an enigma because, I am a woman and I am a woman of color. And you're right. I'm a professional skateboarder. Right. And someone wrote to me and said, you're a racist and a misogynist.
They thought you said another word. Not enigma.
No, she said enigma, not me.
Okay, they thought you said enigma.
No, I just said that to you.
Okay.
Keep up, Rosie. Come on. It's not New Orleans. You can't drink at 9 a.m. It's not what you do in L.A. But, that's the thing. People get overly offensive about everything.
I'm not understanding why they thought you were racist, because you're pointing out that she wasn't the stereotype?
I pointed out that she was a skateboarder, being a woman, number one, and number two,
okay, that
being
person
a black woman.
That person was reaching.
Right. Yeah, that's a total reach, right?
I'm like, wait, is it because they thought you said the N-word? Like, I don't understand.
No, I didn't say it. She said it. She goes, I'm somewhat of an enigma. But the bottom line is people can go, oh, how can you say that to her? Because it's the truth. We just don't see it, right? We just don't see it.
Vinny, you're a racist, and I want you to leave right now.
Okay.
But not before we finish talking about Fitness Confidential.
No, wait. We were talking about how I got to LA. Well, in 91, I just...
Remember when we said we're going to go all over the place?
Yeah, and this is what we're doing. In 91, I got in my car. I literally had a booming business.
Was it because of the weather, though? Or
It was because of the weather. Most people come out here with aspirations of being a comic or being an actor or something else. My aspiration was to ride my bicycle without rain. It was that simple.
Wow.
And I gave up a career. I had a radio show on WSMB, AM 7, and I was also on WWL occasionally because my cousin had Cooking with Ambrosia. Buster Ambrosia, Sebastian Ambrosia is my cousin, so he would bring me on his show. I had my own show on WSMB. I was doing. It was called Talking Fitness with Vinnie, and I would take phone calls from old people who go, who listens to AM radio, and talk to them about fitness.
Were you always a fit person? Like you always worked out, you always were playing sports, and you just thought this is something that I can do that I really like? Because you said there was no one like that at the time.
I didn't think when I got the scholarship, I was going to go to LSU because let's face it, the chicks are just hotter there. And it was in my backyard. It was Donaldsonville to Baton Rouge is 30 minutes. And
Tulane girls are smart.
Oh, my God. And Jewish, which is great. Because they all want to be with an Italian guy before they have to marry the Jewish guy. And I just became an anti-Semite. I realized that. A racist and an anti-Semite. But if your name wasn't Goldschmidt or Friedman, I wasn't fucking you. Pretty much. And they all came from New York, by the way. Tulane was full of people from New York. Long Island, as they would say. It had a K in it. Long Island.
Okay, so the road to publishing, how did you decide to write a book? Where did this divine inspiration come from? It seems like, you're out here, you're working with celebrities, and you're doing great. But why would you say, hey, I need to write a book?
I would love to tell you that story, but I can't. Not until I tell you this story.
Okay.
I didn't set out to write a book. I had written a children's book back in 2001 or 2.
Was it about fitness?
No, it was about a little girl and a horse.
Okay.
I like writing stories. I'm a Cajun. I grew up in Cajun country. I'm a storyteller, and I like telling stories. One of them I turned into a book, and the book did very well. It went through a traditional publisher.
What is the children's book?
It was called Monty. It's not published anymore, but because of my success now, people are buying and selling them on eBay. So you can buy Monty. I don't get a dime from it. They should probably redo that book. I don't have the rights to it. A publisher does.
Yeah.
They can make a lot of money if they put that book out again. But I don't like to write. People, I want to be a writer. I don't like to write. I write begrudgingly, and I literally write on legal pads with pens. I don't type. And when, right around when the writer's strike happened, well, we talk about it in the book. First, I had leukemia in 2007. I'm giving away most of the book here. And I almost died. And since I didn't die, I went back to work with my clients again. Most of my clients are Beverly Hills types, actors, actresses. I'm the celebrity trainer. And
he's doing air quotes.
Yeah, I'm doing air quotes about
they
myself.
Can't see you.
But a lot of my clients are also producers and directors. They're all in the business. And, so for the first time in my life, I was not working. I was dealing with cancer. And once I came out of that, 6 months later, I started working again. And almost to the day that I was out of that, the writer's strike hit. And I was what they were calling on the news collateral damage, meaning all of my clients went away because when you have a writer's strike, all of those $1 million deals at all of the networks, that goes away. And when that goes away, acting goes away. All the shows stop. So no one has money to spend on masseuses and trainers. So I'm sitting around, and my friend, Dean Laurie, who's a big Hollywood writer-producer, decided, he goes, you should write a blog or something. You're not doing anything anyway. So I started writing a blog, and people started paying attention to it. Again, kind of like the podcast. I don't know how they found it or how they started paying attention to it. But I was writing 500 to 1,100 words a day, every day, 7 days a week, and I would put it out in a blog. It started getting a following. At one point, it had, I want to say, between 1,500 and 2,000 people a day would come to my site and read the blog. And one day, my blog got hacked. I had done it for maybe 370-something days in a row, and it was hacked by the devil. And I decided, it just said, this blog was hacked by the devil, and it was a devil face. I can't make that up. Meanwhile, Dean Laurie.
Vinny, do you have some enemies out there that I don't know about? That
Maybe.
you don't know about?
Maybe.
From the New Orleans days? Italian guy? I mean, are you in the mafia? What's the deal? No, I'm being racist.
Actually, we could talk off air. But something happened once. You think I'm kidding about that, but I'm not, unfortunately.
So maybe that something hacked your website.
I think is when I called nuns the C word in one of my blogs. It got a bunch of Christians upset.
Okay. So the devil.
That could have been it.
The devil hacked you.
Yeah. So anyway, Dean had been reading my blog the whole time, and apparently he loved it. And we would have a scotch every Friday night, and we would have fish and scotch. Don't ask.
That sounds really disgusting, actually.
It was delicious.
What type of fish?
Different kinds. Sometimes trout, redfish. Just I love fish.
Blackened, grilled.
Okay, yeah. Almondine,
sushi,
sushi. Because I know that's the way you guys like it, right?
Sushi with hard liquor sounds disgusting to me, but that's my.
I don't like sushi with any kind of liquor. I just like real, cooked fish at a fish house with a scotch.
Okay.
The way it's supposed to be enjoyed. So he started quoting my blog line and verse every week. Before it was hacked, he would say, "Did you just use the C word to describe nuns?" yeah, I think I did. And
hacked by the devil.
Yeah, I got hacked by the devil. But Dean had read enough of it to realize that there was a book in it. So, and here's the important part, Rosie, because a lot of people don't get this. Dean said you should start writing notes, and you rewrite some notes, and you're going to have a book in you. He goes, as a matter of fact, when you write the notes, send them to me, and I want to see what you're writing. And so what I would do, most people would go, yeah, maybe one day I'll start writing notes. What I did was I went home, got a pad out the next day, and started jotting down notes. Just some, bullet point, 2 or 3 sentences, bullet point, 2 or 3 sentences, because I can't type. And after I would have like a whole legal pad full of stuff, I would then sit at my computer, and this is the really grueling part, with 2 fingers.
You really can't type. You type with 2 fingers?
I type with like a couple of fingers, but like I don't even have to look at the key. I'm one of those people that can 2 fingers.
You look like a T-Rex.
Yeah, it's like, I'm all over the place. But I typed out all of the notes, and then I put them into, I'm not very computer literate. I think it was called a Word document.
Okay.
And Dean came over one day and showed me how to send that Word document to him.
Okay.
So about every 3 weeks, I would have a bunch of words in my document, and I would do the thing and send it to him. I really don't know how to use a computer. That's not me being funny. That's what's so good about this whole thing. I'm making money on a computer now.
That you don't even know what you're doing.
Still don't know how to turn it on. So I would send the notes to Dean, and then one day we were having our fish and scotch. And he goes, I've been organizing your notes. I said, really? I didn't realize you were doing anything with them. And he goes, yeah. He goes, I put a word counter on it. He says, you've already written over 40,000 words in notes. And I said, well, what does that mean? He says, most books nowadays are not 40,000 words. So I went to his house because we still had time on our hands because it was the writer's strike. And we started organizing those notes and then fleshing them out. And those 40,000 words became like 110,000 words. And then we melted it down to 70 and came up with Fitness Confidential. Oddly enough, we finished writing that book about 3 days before he went back to start working on the new version of Arrested Development. Mm-hmm. They brought it back on Netflix. He's one of the original guys in Arrested Development. So he's that kind of brilliant. And by the way, Rosie, that's why my book is brilliant. Has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with the talent of Dean Laurie. And I say that on every podcast I go on to, and I go on to about 10 of them a week, besides my own. I'm not taking any credit for the reason that this book is sold the way it's sold. It's Dean Laurie.
That's how your book got created.
Because of him. Now, we wrote the book, and then we went out to every publisher. We went to the top 22 or 23. And every one of them turned it down. To a person. Every publisher just said, no way. Not doing this.
Why were they saying no way? What was it about the book that they were rejecting?
They were rejecting the fact that it was a fitness book with a memoir stacked in it.
So it wasn't just about fitness. It's about you.
It's about my life. It talks about where I started in the swamps of Louisiana. It's a guy who started literally with nothing and was teased as a kid and had a speech impediment, who became a radio guy, who got a college degree, who just kept following it, kind of a Forrest Gump version of how I've made it in life. And
with fitness in there.
With fitness in there and teaching people along the way how they got out of shape. And so the story says, hey, look at what this guy's done and look at what I can do. Most fitness books says, go do this, go do that. I tell people how not to get screwed when you get a gym membership. How many fitness books tell you that? It tells you how to find the right trainer without getting screwed. It tells you what to look out for when you go to a grocery store and how you could get screwed there.
So what it sounds like is your book wasn't fitting into their marketing molds of a fitness book.
I asked, there were two companies, Simon Schuster and I think one of HarperCollins' groups, maybe HarperCollins Wave, were asking me to hand them a different script. And I said, what's wrong with this book? And they said, well, we can't fit it into a category. And I said, well, your biggest problem is you don't know which shelf to put it on in a bookstore. And they said, well, in a word, yes. And I said, that's your biggest problem. You want me to rewrite a whole book because you can't decide where it belongs on the shelf. Is that where we are? And they said, well, yeah. And I said, good, I'll self-publish it. And we did. And when you self-publish, instead of making 10% per book, you make closer to 70 and 75% per book. And, this is a business podcast, right?
No, it's not.
What is it?
It's
kind of funny,
remember what you said about
non-categorized. Yeah. Well, let me categorize it for a moment. 70% is a lot more than 10%. Do that math, Miss Asian woman, with your math.
No, there's no shelf for Out of the Box. We have no shelf to categorize.
Well, you see, and that's a good thing, and that's why this podcast is going to do well, or is already doing well, from what I understand. All the cool kids are talking about it.
I have guests from all areas because life is holistic. It is not categorized into one area. So I want to bring people interesting guests from all categories: religion, politics, business, fitness.
I love hearing that.
And anything else that they want to know to improve their lives.
So that's how, Fitness Confidential came to be. And, as a matter of fact, I know that you're a fan of Margaret Cho.
I am.
I'm going to reveal something on your podcast that I've never talked about.
Are we going to get sued for libel?
Oh, God, no. Because it's a true story. You can't sue for the truth, can you?
Let's hear it, Vinny.
The book, whenever you do any kind of book where you're going to be an expert, it could be a financial book, it could be a fitness book, it could be any kind of book. But you ever notice when you read these self-help books, the first chapter is always telling you why this guy's the expert? And it's like, this guy's a doctorate, and he's got a PhD, and he's a this and a that and the other thing, right? I hate that douchebag. That chapter is just douchebaggery. There's no other way to describe how that chapter works. And I knew I would have to write that chapter, but I didn't want to.
I feel like people need that. here's the thing, and then whatever.
No.
I think that every single person, if you have the life experience, has the authority to be an expert in something without the credentials. So, for example, if you went and changed your life and lost 100 pounds using a certain system, and it inspired you and empowered you, I think that you deserve to write a book or to be an expert in that category without saying, oh, well, now I have to go get a degree in nutrition, or I have to
that's not always true, because someone that can lose 100 pounds doing that, that's what we call an N=1 experiment. And just because it worked for them doesn't mean it works.
But they can say that this worked for me. But
Right.
They don't necessarily need a degree in nutrition to say, but people need that degree in nutrition to look up. You know what I mean? So that chapter of
Right.
douchebaggery of someone saying, well, this is what I've done. It's like certain people need that, and I'm putting loose air quotes, to justify your
Right.
experience. Does that make sense?
It does. And with me, I did have the credentials. I have a degree from Tulane in exercise physiology, and I have a degree to teach people physical education, and I have 32 years of experience. I have all that stuff. I did not want to write that in a book because I didn't want that douchebaggery around me. So we decided to go in kind of James Bondsy on the book.
Okay.
In a
And
weird,
sneak it in?
like you won't see it. But you know how every James Bond movie starts with him ending a mission? Like he's hanging off the side of a cliff and you don't know how it's going to end, and he's like in a trap, and then all of a sudden in the first 5 minutes of the movie he gets out of the trap, and then you see him in bed with a hot chick. And then you see,
I believe it's a Bond girl.
da-da, da-da, da-da. And then they go into the movie. Right?
Yeah.
But he always ends on a mission. So you can say, James Bond is the coolest guy in the world. And then they go into the movie. Well, we did that. We started the whole thing. Everything in the book is a true story. I'm in a Hollywood meeting with people from Disney, people from a managing agency, people from, I think, ICM. It's a big room full of people, suits, lawyers, everything. And I'm dressed the way I'm dressed today, shorts and T-shirt and flip-flops. And I'm sitting there, and they're all looking at me as if I had the Fabergé egg, Okay. And they said, so we understand that you're the quick weight loss guy in Hollywood. And I was sitting there. I talk about this in a book. I'm sitting there going, how did you even get my name? How am I even sitting here? And can I go get a latte? I'm like, and I went, yeah, okay, I'm the quick weight loss guy. And they start saying, can you get weight off of someone really fast? And yeah, sure. Whatever you say. Yeah. I went 1920s on them. Yeah, pal, whenever you want. See, I can get weight off someone really fast. See, it's real slim. And so I'm doing that whole thing, and they offered me a ton of money to take weight off of an actress, and the actress turns out to be Margaret Cho. That's the opening story. But I don't mention Margaret in the book because I didn't want to have to get her permission. So I just say it's an actress. And here's the funny story. I take like 30 some odd pounds off of her. And they called me back into another meeting. She talked about this in her act for years. I think she still talks about it some. They called me back into another meeting, and they said, look, pal, you did a great job. Great job. But we have a problem. And I said, well, okay, what's the problem? And now they're like whispering back and forth to each other. There's a big giant table we're all sitting around, right? Over at Gallon Maury. And they're whispering back and forth. And then finally someone said, is it possible to take weight off of someone's face? And I said, what do you mean? And they said, well, if someone's face is too chubby, too heavy, can you take weight off of their face? And I said, no, well, you can't spot lose weight. I mean, I could take more weight off of Mrs. Cho if you give me more time, but I can't guarantee that her face will be skinny. I said, after all, you do understand she's Asian and they have round faces. And the lawyer literally stood up and said, I want it to be noted right now that we did not say anything about Mrs. Cho's ethnicity. Ethnicity. That's Mr. Tortorich saying this. We're not saying she's Asian. We're not saying that the reason her face is fat is...
We're not saying she's Asian.
I'm sitting there going, are we really having this conversation? Is this really... You guys want to hire an Asian to do a sitcom, yet you don't want it to look like an Asian? Have you seen her eyes? She's Asian. Yeah. They didn't want to have anything to do with the conversation. That's how PC it was back in 92. This was 1992, maybe 93. That's how PC it was back then. And I looked around and went, this is going to be one fucking slippery slope. It really is. And look where we are now, you know. But yeah, that's the way the book opens. And then every story after that is like that. But it has fitness wrapped into it.
So what are some of the lifestyle, lifestyle changes or whatever? I know you said you don't focus on certain specific techniques. It's more of a lifestyle, which I know a lot of, is a lot healthier than doing a quick fix or a quick thing that people do. What do you advocate? Just, you say you want to get people on track how did they get so messed up or how did they get so off track? What is the main thing that the average American is doing in their life that's causing this type? Because America is the most obese country in the world.
Yeah, and we're very proud of that. We talk about that in the book. People don't want to be fat. And the one thing we know that doesn't work, and this isn't me speaking, this is statistics. I keep using words with S's, and I can't. I still have a speech impediment at 50 years old, 51. But the bottom line is, diets don't work at all. If you do Jenny Craig, you might lose 100 pounds, but as soon as you stop eating her crappy food, you'll put it on. Calorie in, calorie out has never worked, ever. I don't know if people are going to hear this and go, well, it worked for me. Yeah, there's about 10 or 15, maybe even 20% of the people that can hang on to that and just starve themselves and stay thin. But the reason we got fat as a nation and now as a world is because we started putting sugars and grains in everything. We don't eat whole...
I see your no sugars, no grains hashtag and things.
Everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Mr. No Sugar. As a matter of fact, I own that trademark now. I own 2 trademarks. America's Angriest Trainer and No Sugars, No Grains. It's my trademark. And by the way, I have T-shirts with me on them. That's me, by the way. That's the cover of my book. Me yelling. Have you seen the cover?
I have seen the cover.
It's an old Italian guy naked screaming. How could you not pick that up in a bookstore had it been in a bookstore?
On the correct shelf.
By the way, they wouldn't have ever gone for that cover had I gone with the publisher.
What cover did they want?
They would have wanted me to look all smug, white background with my arms folded going, hey, I know how to get you to lose 10 pounds in 10 days.
Not naked and screaming and angry?
If you're not a naked, screaming Italian guy, you're nothing. That's what your cover needs to be. And I think the cover sold the book as much as anything else. But the way we got fat is sugars and grains, bottom line.
And do you think it's just the processed foods, or is it the way people are cooking now? Or
well, no, the problem is people don't cook. Everything is packaged foods, and the way you can package foods and add cheap calories to it is by adding fructose, which it doesn't even have to taste like sugar. They can make fructose taste like anything. It's a great filler. It makes you want more and more of that food. Once you have that fructose in your system, your body starts to release hormones telling you need more and more and more. When I was a kid, Coca-Colas used to come in a 7-ounce bottle.
Wow.
Can you imagine that? Now, they don't even care to give you a bottle. They give you a 64-ounce barrel and just let you fill it up yourself. And they're so confident that you're hooked, they'll let you keep refilling for free. Think about that. That's how crazy this is.
So obviously that when I say diet, I'm not talking about going on a diet. I'm talking about what you eat is one part. And then the exercise is obviously the other hand.
I say that whenever I do a lot of speeches now because I'm popular. Thank you for laughing at that because it was meant as a joke. But, I do speeches, and I start every speech with exercise is a very poor way to lose weight. And I always remind the audience that I'm a fitness trainer. I try to get people to exercise, yet it's a very, very poor way to lose weight.
Because it's not a holistic way? It's not incorporating everything?
Well, it's not about holistic. It's once you exercise to try to lose weight, it becomes calorie in, calorie out. You're trying to burn off calories that you're telling yourself you're not going to eat back on. But when you burn those calories to get in shape, to have a stronger heart, to have stronger muscles, to have stronger bones and connective tissues, all good reasons to exercise, you understand, you need to now eat the calories back on that you've just expended. There is no other way to do it.
What do you think about having, ice cream or desserts or cakes here and there as like a reward or whatever?
We describe that in the book. People, because a lot of books go, you have to eat like this, and it's like some kind of German goose stuff. You must eat this way and this way and no other way. That's not this book. That's not what we do. We actually tell people, the term I use is put life into living and do it with enthusiasm. I say it at the end of, we have almost 300 podcasts now. At the end of every podcast, I end by saying that we tell people in the book, when in Rome, do as the Romans. So if you're in Rome, have gelato. It's very good there, by the way.
Oh, my God. I know.
Oh, my God.
I've been to Rome and Venice, and I ate a lot of gelato. A lot. We're
going to be next week because I'm doing a speech in Amsterdam. And so we're starting off in London because Serena's got a sister there and a brother. And then we're going to Amsterdam. We're going to Holland for a few days because I have to do a speech. And then we're circling back to Paris. So we're planning on just putting life into living in Holland and continuing. We've already talked about this. Continuing it because Kristen, Serena's sister, lives in Paris. So we're going to be with Kristen for a couple of days. And we're going to be eating up a storm, by the way. So we're going to be doing that. So you're not
against eating. You're just saying that the processed foods are bad.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, one of my, if I can name drop for a minute, my good buddy, Howie Mandel, he walked into the same fish restaurant where Dean and I go to, and he sees me sitting there.
What fish restaurant is this?
It's the one where we go.
Is it Gladstone's?
No. Is it? It's called King's. It really sucks as a fish house, but it's in Calabasas where we all live. And we all kind of convene on that area. And he came in, he goes, "You're eating cheesecake." I went, "Howie, I fly around with you on your private jet. You've seen me eat sweets before." He goes, "Yeah, but I thought you only did it like in private, like in the jet where no one could see you." But he was calling me out in public.
You're eating cheesecake.
Yeah, that's my next book, Eating Cheesecake with Howie on his jet, which I wish I could afford one day. But you got to make deal or no deal money or something before they give you that gig. Yeah.
So you eat cheesecake. The angriest trainer eats cheesecake.
Yeah, but not very often. And I never have a piece for myself.
You share.
It's always it's at the table. I'm not going to be that guy because think about it. If you're sitting at a table and there's 4 or 5 people and everyone's getting coffee after dinner and there's a piece of cheesecake.
It's not going to get eaten all the way.
Howie and I talk about this all the time. People don't want to do things around me because they think I'm judging them.
And you are.
I am. No, I'm not, as a matter of fact. And subsequently, I don't want to eat around them because I don't want them to do what Howie did to me and go, "You're eating cheesecake." But if cheesecake comes to the table, I will pick up a fork and have a few bites because, number one, it's delicious. And number two, it allows everyone to see that I can play ball. I'm one of you. I'm not some kind of, "You must eat this way or you will die." Yeah.
Only fish. And scotch.
fish cake. That's my next book. Only Fish and Scotch.
Only Fish and Scotch.
Yeah. It's coming out soon.
And cheesecake on
Look
Howie
for it.
Mandel's. Every publisher rejected it because the title was too long.
Yeah. Having Fish and Scotch on Howie Mandel's private plane.
With cheesecake.
With cheesecake. Brought to you by the Cheesecake Council.
Do you have specific workout styles that you know, there's different fads, there's CrossFit, there's all this stuff now, and people say this is what works, or do you just advocate getting active?
There's none.
Just getting active.
Getting active is the thing. You know, if you love CrossFit, go to it. But don't think you're going to do CrossFit and get in shape to run a marathon. If you want to run a marathon, you got to do a lot of running. People get confused with that. There is no one method of exercise that's better than any other method. Caveat. If you're a person who likes to swim 2 or 3 miles a day, that's not good enough because you're leaching calcium from your bones. Mm-hmm. So if you're someone who likes to do non-weight-bearing exercise, like swimming or cycling, I'm a big cyclist. You also have to pound your body a bit somehow to round it out. Maybe do some weights, become a walker.
What
jogger.
about people saying that you have to shock your system? You can't do the same thing over and over. You're going to plateau. Is that true, or is that just...
The plateau thing is, what is that? You know, you can do the same thing over and over. I do believe in changing it up a bit, not doing anything exactly the same way, because it's just like Eskimos get... Can you say Eskimo anymore? Is that on the table?
You can say... I think you have to say American Eskimo person. No.
You don't even know, right? You're sitting there. I saw the big question mark on your face. What do we call Eskimos now?
Eskimo. I don't think that's a derogatory.
No, I think it's off the table.
Is it?
Right after we took Polak off, we went right to Eskimo.
Well, I think Polak is considered derogatory.
Yeah,
but Eskimo,
we took that off the table. See, that stayed on the table, even though we took a lot of
American
other things.
Eskimo is okay. Native American Eskimo is why is it offensive?
Because Indian is offensive now.
Just so you know, my mom says the word Oriental.
You can only imagine what the first time.
My mom says Oriental. She refers to herself as Oriental, and Asian women as Oriental. She doesn't know it's considered derogatory.
They're from the Orient, right?
She says it She always talks about how white women are jealous of Oriental women because a lot of white men like Oriental women these days.
She's right.
I'm like, Mom.
Well, you know,
I'm not offended. I just think it's funny because she says it in a very matter-of-fact way. She's like, well, you know, you have to be careful because a lot of white women might be jealous of you.
Does she talk just like that with her quiet Oriental voice?
She's very quiet. She's very, very Oriental. She's very quiet and she's very proper. And when I've had porn stars on my podcast. I've had all, and I also, as you can tell, laugh very joyously and very loud and from the belly because I enjoy life.
Yeah.
And my mom will get very upset. And she said, Rosie, you shouldn't laugh loud like that. It's not ladylike.
I love when you laugh in your own comedy act. I've been watching you, and I love you.
Oh, thanks.
I love when you laugh because it lets the audience know that it's okay for them to laugh at what you're saying about being Oriental.
I have a lot of negative YouTube comments about that. People saying she laughs at her own jokes.
That's what makes you good.
I laugh because I make myself laugh, and other people make me laugh. And I've had to shift my stand-up because a lot of stand-ups are very, very judgmental towards comedy.
No.
They are.
Really?
They sit and they judge other comedians and they judge themselves and they're super judgmental. And I found I was doing comedy for I've been doing it for about, I don't know, 10, 12 years now, but about the 7-year mark, I realized that I had completely no joy left because I had turned into one of those. And like 90% of comics are super judgmental, snarky, mean, negative. And I said, you know what? I don't enjoy comedy anymore because I'm being so judgmental about it. So I switched in my brain. I made a little switch and I turned myself into an audience member because audience member and performer have different mentality. And so I go and I'll perform and I'll enjoy my performance and making people laugh. And then I will go and sit in the audience and I will switch my my little switch in my brain from performer to audience, and I will sit and I'll enjoy the other comedians, and I won't judge them and say, well, this joke should be like this or this, and I just enjoy them. And so many other comedians have been like, well, how can you laugh at other comedians, or how can you, and I said, because and musicians get like that too. I know a lot of musicians who they get really, really into the music, and then they sit and they judge other musicians.
Oh yeah, it happens all. Well, I don't know if you know this. We're going to get back to Orientals and Eskimos, which should be the title of this podcast if you want to get anyone to ever pay attention. But I work with a ton of comedians. Did you know that about me?
I did. You told me.
I did?
Yes.
Who do I work with?
You work with Howie and you work with Margaret, and you named like 3 or 4 more, but I can't remember. But not just in this podcast. You told me before when we chatted.
I was like, yeah. Well, there's
we chatted very
Bill
briefly.
Engvall, who's one of my favorites, by the way. Do you know who Bill is?
I do know who Bill is.
Love Bill. I knew Bill.
He's one of the blue collar comedy tour guys.
Yeah. Here's your sign. Here's your sign. Their manager, J.P. Williams, I worked with forever. He was the guy that put that whole thing together. Mm-hmm. Larry the Cable Guy and Jeff and the whole thing. He's playing golf right now, by the way. Right now.
At this very second.
Yeah. It's Friday and it's around noontime.
Yes.
JP is playing golf. I could tell you where, but I don't want to, because I don't want every loser comedian to go run over to that golf course and go, please sign me. I could be the next Bill Engvall or Cable Guy. Here's one you would never think of. Carol Leifer.
Writer for Seinfeld, and she's executive producer. I know everything about comedy. Yeah. Executive producer for the TBS show right now, Ground Floor.
Yeah. And
we're name dropping right here.
By the way, she is a hard. You want to talk about comedians work harder than other people. Bobby Kelly. Do you know the great Robert Kelly?
Yes.
New York comedian, bald-headed guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Client, good friend. I did his podcast last week. I was in New York. He brings in a whole bunch of comics, and you sit around. It's called Riotcast. The You Know What Dude podcast. It's really good. You should pay attention. You should listen to it. I should,
but you were on track with something and then you got off track.
No, I know where I was.
Okay. I was like, wait, we were talking about something else.
We were talking about Eskimos and
No. After that, and then and then you said, do you know I manage comedians? But there was something filler that I was like waiting for you to tell me, and then...
I can't remember. But by the way, this is how my podcast goes. And this is why people like mine.
Oh, no, you were saying, okay, so I was saying, and musicians get really judgmental too. And you said, I know. And then you were going to say something.
I was. Now, what
about
was
people being judgmental. And
I was saying I know because I work with a lot of comedians and I know how they think.
They do. But I switched the switch because I was not enjoying comedy. And I think that's a good thing to do.
But, comedians. I think, I know what made me think that, because John Mendoza, another name drop.
Name dropping with Rosie Tran.
They think differently. They think like you think. They were like, when I said, because the old clutch is me, Howie, and John Mendoza, and we sit around and talk about who's funny. Like, they will sit around and go, oh my God, this one's so funny, that one's so funny. They recognize funny, if that makes any sense.
Yes, it does.
A lot of comedians, you always know who the hacks are, because they'll go, that guy's not funny. He got lucky. No, he didn't get lucky. He worked really hard and he's funny. That's what happened.
But I just think that it's important to have joy in what you do, whatever it is. And I think it's important to laugh really loud and eat a little bit of cheesecake sometimes.
What is this, like a book? Eat, pray, love, tell a joke?
Pray, love, tell a joke, and name drop with Rosie Tran.
Rosie, you know what we should do? I'm telling you what you should do with your podcast.
All right, tell me, Vinny.
Okay. I should pop in here every week right before I do my own show, and you and I do a show, and then I'll go do my show. I love doing podcasts. Give me a mic. Give me an SM58. Aren't you impressed that I know what this is? So
you know what this is, but you don't know how to turn a computer on?
No, because this is physical and it's phallic. I know I could build an engine from scratch. You could give me an engine block, and I can build an engine.
But you don't know how to email a Word doc unless Dean comes over.
It's mechanical. Dean needs to come to my house to press send. I think, where is it, Dean? I know it's here. Yeah.
Okay, we have to wrap up soon. I'm very sad. So what else is next from you? What's going on? By the way, you never told me the story that you were going to tell me before we started.
Well, if we don't have to wrap up, I could tell you now. What time is it?
We have 6 minutes.
Okay, what story do you want me to tell you?
You were going to tell me the story. You said you had a conversation about the contract, about your book, and you were going to tell me on the air.
Okay. Now everybody wants the new book. The
eating cheesecake with Howie Mandel on his
Actually,
airplane.
we have a real...
Oh, no!
We have a real name for it. But since the first book was a hit, Dean and I were in New York last week.
You mean publishers?
Yeah, publishers all want the books. We met with...
all the ones that turned you down.
Oh, yeah. I literally sat with... Do you know who Judith Regan is?
I don't. You named a bunch of people, and I knew who they were, and I don't know who Judith Regan is.
Okay. Judith Regan, she did the Howard Stern books back in the day. She's probably the biggest publisher alive today.
And she wants your book.
I sat with Judith Regan for an hour. Penguin, HarperCollins. You've heard these names before.
I have. No, I just want to be clear. These are the people who rejected your book previously.
Oh, yeah. They all rejected.
And now they want your book.
That it's a success. The only one that recognized that they turned it down before was Harlequin, who has a fitness division, a big fitness division. And so now all these people are meeting with us, and now this
and
week,
they don't remember.
Some of them do. Judith claims that she never saw the book. Mm-hmm. Now the next book, we're doing the second book because this book has been such a hit. They all want the second book, so they're all bidding against each other. And we've now categorically turned down every bid this week because they're not offering enough. The first book, we couldn't get them to offer $10,000. We're turning down $150,000 offers right now because we're going, what are we supposed to do? Wipe our ass? We had a hit book. We've made way more than that. Now you want to do that? That's negative economy. If you want to play, you got to pay. And we won't take that deal. We won't do it. I literally wrote a letter to my agent this morning that said...
Was it a handwritten letter, or did you type it with your 2 fingers?
2 fingers, baby. I'm going to tell the truth here. I called Dean Laurie from my car and recited what I want him to write to my agent.
And he typed it?
Yes.
I knew it!
Okay. His agent, he's at WME, William Morris Agency, Endeavor. I have a book agent in New York. Love this woman to death. We literally wrote a letter. We, meaning I recited. I have the best. Most people hire someone.
What are you, the Queen of England? We?
Yeah, listen. Most people hire someone for $20 an hour. I have one of Hollywood's top writers taking dictation while I'm driving around to Rosie Tran house.
Can you type this letter for me?
So he typed and said, Dean, tell Danielle that I'm sorry, but I'm refusing every offer she's brought to the table. But tell her that I'm paying her a commission for even trying.
That's awesome.
Because she did all the work and she's getting nothing out of it. So literally that's the kind of guy I am. I'm bragging about myself right now and telling you how cool I am. But I can't stand that she went through all that work to pull together these deals. And for a fitness book, $150,000, that's a lot of money. And she could have made a good commission on that.
But not from what you self-published.
I said, but you know what? I can make so much more money and just give her a commission anyway for not making the deal. Doesn't that sound like a better deal?
That sounds like a better deal.
Yeah. Deal. I learned that from Howie.
Deal or no deal.
Deal or no deal.
All right. Where can people find the Angriest Trainer podcast so that they can take their life to the next level?
Okay. Here's everything. Time to plug, right?
All right. Time to plug.
The book is on Amazon. Fitness Confidential. Go there. You get the book. If you sign, you can get the Audible right now. There's a deal that, you could get it for free if you just sign up for Audible and put the promo code. It's audiblepodcast.com/Vinnie, and you get the book for free.
And it's VINNIE, not Y.
The podcast is the Angriest Trainer podcast. As you can tell, I'm not angry all the time. It gets I don't think it gets 500,000 downloads a month, but it gets 350,000.
It's popular. People like it. You'll learn how to get in shape.
And you'll laugh because Anna Vocino is one of the funniest women out there. Speaking of comedian types, she's not a stand-up, but she's a comedic actress.
And she's your co-host?
She's my co-host. And folks, don't listen for me. Listen for her. And when you get a chance, go look at pictures of her on the internet. She's got extremely large breasts. You need to see this. You need to know about these breasts. And
apparently she lives a block away from me.
Not even a block. Go to VinnieTortorich.com. There are pictures of Anna there, VinnieTortorich.com. You will see the beautiful Anna Vocino, the woman that keeps it all together, the reason people listen. You can listen to the podcast there, or you can just do the FAQ. It's free. You can learn everything you ever want to know about fitness from my podcast, from my website for free. You never have to buy one thing from me. It's all out there, free.
Thank you so much, Vinnie. We're so excited to have had you.
Thank you for having me on.
This has been Out of the Box with Rosie Tran. Guys, if you like us, go to outoftheboxpodcast.com and leave a comment, or on Stitcher and iTunes. We love comments. We love subscriptions. They help us out a lot. And don't forget to visit hugmetees.com. Hugmetees.com. Spread love, give a hug. Hugmetees.com. This has been Out of the Box with Rosie Tran.